Happy holidays from Untold Miracles. We hope this season is full of joy and inspiration. Take the podcast with you over the holidays and catch up on episodes with your favorite guests. Thank you for making our 2018 season so bright, and we look forward to our 2019 season in the new year. Wishing you and yours a happy holiday season. Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and today we are very fortunate to have a world-class athlete, fitness and wellness expert, TV host, speaker, author, and actress on the podcast. She's a cooking enthusiast, founder of her own lifestyle brand, and a mother of two and stepmother to three. She's also a four-time undefeated boxing world champion, and she is heralded as the most successful female in the history of women's boxing. She's also the daughter of the late beloved global icon and humanitarian Muhammed Ali. Laila Ali, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. I had the opportunity to meet you at the Miss America competition last month, and I'm just really honored to have you on the show today. I watched the impact that you're having on the world, and you're creating a lot of miracles in the world today through your passion for giving back, and I'm just really excited for your time today.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be on.
Well, I know giving back was instilled to you by your father. Tell us how he taught you this and how you're teaching your kids, Curtis Jr. and Sydney, the importance of making a difference and giving back in the community.
You know, my father really practiced what he preached. That was just his life, to get up every day and put a smile on people's faces, whether he was signing autographs or actually going to events or, doing charity work. So it was just a part of life for me. I kind of grew up expecting that was something that I needed to do and should do. And, as far as with my children, I just try to do the same thing that I learned, as living by example. And I don't really want to pressure them or feel like they have a burden upon them, more so just understanding that we have more than a lot of other people do, or when you can help people, that you just should. That should just be something that you should want to do. And they naturally have big hearts, so they've been kind of following suit already.
That's amazing. What are some of the ways that you like to give back to your community in Los Angeles?
Well, I like to, whenever there's like a local food shelter or somewhere that needs help, I like to just drop off food in that way. That's just something simple anyone can do. I like to visit some of the homes that have like women who are trying to get back on their feet, or young girls that need to be spoken to, visiting schools. A lot of time people ask me, they'll just ask me to show up or do certain things, and I do according to what I can and can't do. But I try to keep it balanced, and like I said, without it becoming something that feels like a burden, but more so something I enjoy doing.
Well, and I love what you shared, because honestly, it's the little things that if multiplied by everyone, across this country, just doing the little things, that's where the miracles really happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on this podcast, we talk about miracles, and you had a miraculous career in boxing. You had 24 wins, 21 knockouts, no losses. When did you decide you wanted to be a boxer? And how did you convince your dad to be okay with that? Because I know he wasn't very happy about you entering such a kind of dangerous profession.
Right. It's funny. I didn't actually want to be a boxer myself until I saw women's boxing on television for the first time, and I was about 18 years old. And of course, my father already had his boxing career and everything, but it was never something that I thought about doing myself until I visually saw women boxing, because I just didn't know it was a sport that existed. As soon as I saw it, I wanted to do it. So there was something in me. I always had this fighter in me that wanted to come out, and it did, in fact, and got me in trouble lots of times growing up. But I was like, how did I not know about this? So I was just super excited, and it took me about a year of contemplation to actually go for it, because I had already kind of planned my life at that stage, and I'm going to go to school, I'm an entrepreneur, and I was on this certain path. So it took a lot for me to just divert and go do something else. But I'm glad that I did. I followed my heart.
Was there any particular conversation that you had with your dad that helped him understand your passion?
You know what? To be honest with you, I never went into my conversation with him to try to get him to accept it. It was kind of like, I'm going to do this regardless. Mm-hmm. That's just the type of person that I am. Mm-hmm. But of course, we always like when we can make our parents happy. There's just something that's undeniable about that. But I wasn't going to let his attitude towards it stop me. He never really liked it, but he was proud of me. He was proud of, how I handled myself publicly. and how I carried on the family name, so I didn't embarrass him. And I think that's one thing he was worried about. He's like, wait a minute, I left this long legacy. I don't need one of my daughters coming behind me embarrassing me.
Well, I want to talk about your very first match. It was a knockout against April Fowler. I want to know what that was like being in the ring for the first time and having a knockout in your very first event. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well, it's very hard to describe because obviously, what can I compare it to, for the average person who's never actually fought or knocked somebody out or been hit, but it's just like your adrenaline is definitely going and you're getting in the ring with people watching. So this isn't like a fight that happens on the street where you don't know what's about to happen. This is like this is something you've trained for, you mentally prepared for, which makes it even more challenging than a fight that you would just have on the street because you're thinking about this person, you're watching this person, you're studying this person that you're fighting. And then it's like, okay, this is the moment, this is the moment that you have to pretty much back it all up, get in there and make it happen. So for me, the knockout wasn't a surprise because that was my plan, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. So for me, I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you.
Because you wanted to box.
Which is not, which isn't normal. That's just the Laila in me, the crazy in me. Like, I was like, wait a minute, all that training and all 54 seconds? Are you serious? Like, let me at least get some rounds in. Let me get some experience. And then, you imagine yourself knocking the person out in the end. But I felt like I was overmatched. But at the same time, I just felt like slighted. Like, you couldn't have got me somebody tougher.
Well, so I guess your mentality is just that you're going to knock out every opponent, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
And that happened 21 times out of 24 times. So were you disappointed then with those 3 wins because they weren't knockouts?
Oh, definitely. I was disappointed with many of my wins. And I'm not saying that as because it's a good thing. It's just that's part of perfectionism. And I do mean what I'm saying. It sounds like I'm just being cocky or overconfident, but, the proof is in the pudding. I go into the fight knowing, like, for sure, I'm going to knock this person out. So really, the knockout isn't that big of a deal. It's more of a matter of what did I do leading up to the knockout? Did I work on my jab? Did I work on my pivots, my head movement? Whatever things that I'm working on, my defense, did I, go in there and execute that? So for me, if I don't feel like my performance was what I wanted it to be, then it'd be hard for me to be as happy as I could have been, So, but that's just a constant bettering of yourself.
Right.
It's like you don't get hyped, you don't drink your own Kool-Aid. It's like, okay, I got the knockout, but how did I improve myself since my last 3 fights? Because I got a knockout 3 fights ago also. So it's like, you got to look at other things that need to be improved.
Is there a fight that is the most memorable to you?
Probably my fight with Kendra Linhart. This was a girl that was like physically bigger and stronger than me, had more experience than me. She's a little bit wild as a fighter. She wasn't as skilled as me, but she definitely had a lot of other things going for her. So she was the first person to actually like hit me over the head and hurt me. When I say hurt me, meaning like where I was actually dazed. And had to hold on and do things that you do in boxing to survive. So and it felt like forever, but it was probably about 15 seconds that I was dazed. But that was a good experience. That was one of the people that I went the distance with. She was so big and so strong. And like I said, it was early on in my career that, even maybe 5 or 6 fights later, we would have had a whole different outcome. But at the time, I didn't know the things that I ended up knowing.
What round did that happen in?
I think it was round 2, the second round.
And then how far did that match go?
It was a 6-round fight. Yeah, so we went the distance, but it was a tough fight. She's a big girl.
And what fight are you most proud of?
Most proud of? That's a tough one. Probably I fought a girl named Erin Tohill, who was an MMA fighter, like a mixed martial artist, and she and I didn't get along. And she physically was strong and, very athletic. And, I was going through a lot in my life, and I was so, depleted of energy and everything. I mean, I remember I had to get, a vitamin pack IV in my arm the night before the fight. Of course, nobody knows all this. And I had missed out on a lot of training. I was about to go through a divorce. So I was just dealing with a whole lot. So I was really proud, to go in there and stop her. And I was able to kind of take all the negative energy I was dealing with and turn it into strength, like in the ring. And, mentally get where I needed to get and got her out of there. So, but it could have been a whole different fight.
Did you experience any miracles in the ring, or was it just hard work?
No, it's definitely hard work. I mean, I think the best thing I have going for me is my mental strength. You can have two fighters who are talented and have experience and go in there with a positive attitude, and it just gets to a point in that ring where it's just like, who's going to overcome, mentally. And I just come into the ring so strong that it's really hard to steer away from that, So it's like I literally go into the ring every time knowing like, okay, I'm going to win this fight. There's no doubt about it. Every cell in my body believes that and knows that. And then everything else that I have that I'm bringing with me as far as just the bloodlines, the skill, the strength, the size, the talent, the best trainers, everything that I have. And then, of course, I'm going to remind my opponent of all that, so I'm going to work on your mind also, you know what I mean? So it's just like there's a whole lot to it. But I think that I thank God, and I do believe that, however you want to look at it, a miracle. Just I'm happy that I was able to have all of those things in my favor, in the ring. And that's in the ring. It's not in every area of my life, but that was one place that I'm like, no, this is my ring. It belongs to me when I'm in it. So, period.
There's very few people in sports in general that can say that they went undefeated in their entire career. How do you think a loss would have impacted you?
I think that I used to think about that often, like how would I feel if I ever lost? And that's why I never lost, because I just didn't like to even think about that. Like some people, there's people who will be like, oh, don't talk about losing or don't think about losing or, and it's like, no, I'm going to think about how I feel and make sure it never happens. You know what I mean? So, because I'm just very honest. I'm like, I would not take it well. I probably would go into a deep depression. Of course, I would eventually come out of it, and then I would just be like, want my rematch. But I do not ever want to feel that feeling, so.
That's so amazing. I just do think that is like the most miraculous career. And I'm not saying that it's not hard work, but like literally to never lose and to win the way that you won is just miraculous to me.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. But I will say that, there are other sports where you can be just as great and you do lose. Boxing is one of those sports where you can go undefeated. Like it's just you and one other person and you got two hands and just the nature of the sport. But look at Serena Williams. I would definitely say she is like one of the most amazing athletes, right, out there, one of the best, male or female. She lost. My dad had lost. So you can lose and still be great. So that's not why... I think I was such a wonderful fighter, but I've lost in other areas of my life, and haven't always won. So, like I said, with the ring, that's just one thing. And I carry a lot of the confidence and, determination, the discipline and into other areas of my life. That's why I've been able to be successful, so.
Well, I want to talk to you about the biggest miracles in your personal life, outside of probably your children and your husband.
I had a very dysfunctional childhood growing up. A lot of people wouldn't even realize or, wouldn't even be able to believe some of the things that I've been through. And I wrote a lot about it in my book, Reach, Finding Strength, Spirit, and Personal Power. One of the things that I've been through, which has surprised a lot of people, is I went to juvenile hall when I was a teenager, when I was about 16 years old, and was in juvenile hall for 3 months, not just overnight.
Oh, wow.
So... yeah, exactly. So people a lot of times would judge a book by its cover and say, oh, you're Muhammed Ali's daughter, he's pretty, he had an easy life, why would you want to be a boxer? They don't realize this fighter that was in me that actually got into a lot of trouble growing up. And I do have a kind of rough exterior, and there's a reason for that. I was able to, get that out of me in the ring. And that's what I needed, because there's a lot of anger there. So for me, I'm proud, but at the same time, it's also a miracle to be able to look back and say, wow, I really landed on my feet, more than just landed, more than just was just okay. Now other people look at me as a role model, look up to me. And I like to be transparent. I like to be authentic and real in the sense of letting people know, like, no, I've been through some things, and you don't have to let your past define you. You don't have to be ashamed. You just have to grow and learn and try to help somebody else along the way. So that's what I try to do.
Well, in your years of boxing from 1999 to 2007, were you able to get all of the anger out, or is that just something that you still deal with on a daily basis, or have you found a way to heal that?
Yeah, no, I definitely found a way to heal it. I'm not an angry person by any means, but I still am a fighter. I always will be, because I'm just one of those people that, you can't go around beating people up. But I truly believe that, man, if some people just need a good butt whooping, they would solve a lot of things. I'm just joking, but I'm just saying. But people a lot of times can be disrespectful and they could just do certain things because they have no fear. So it's just like. But like I said, that's just my mentality that I know I cannot go out into the world and be that way. But I'm definitely not an angry person.
You talk a lot about empowering a stronger you. What are 3 things that someone could do today to be empowered in their personal life?
I think that they can, figure out what their priorities are in life and then create a plan to work towards their goals, their long-term and their short-term goals, because we have a lot of things that we say that we want to do, but we need to look and say, what am I actually doing day to day to make these things happen for myself, right? Because you have to have discipline. You have to have a plan. You have to work towards your goals every day, because life is going to get in the way. Other people are going to get in the way. Things are going to come up. So if you don't really realize what your priorities are, what you have a passion for, it's not just going to drop in your lap, period.
I want to go back to your book, Reach, Finding Strength, Spirit, and Personal Power. What are some tools that we can use to tap into our strength and our spirit?
There's a lot of things you can do, but meditation is one. Some people think that sounds really deep, like meditate, but it's something you definitely can try. There's books, there's apps, there's, audio books even that you can do that and start slow, even 5 to 10 minutes a day. And that's when you really can connect with yourself to figure out, to really get to know you through all the clutter and the noise, right? Because a lot of times our fear, our lack of confidence, lack of discipline holds us back, and that's the first thing you got to do is really get centered to really hear that inner voice that's guiding you. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost, So that would be a good place to start. And then I think just surrounding yourself with people who really deserve to have you in their life, people who are going to uplift you, support you, people who are doing well for themselves, because you really turn into the company that you keep. I forget the number, but 5 or 6 people you have around you is what, you kind of become. So you want to be around people who are going to push you to be your best.
What did you do to get through your divorce?
By the time I got a divorce, I already knew. I was already ready. I had, a couple of years had gone by where I was like, I don't think this is gonna work out. I don't think this is it. But I was in the middle of my boxing career, and I really felt like I couldn't do it without him, because my ex-husband really was my manager. He kind of took care of everything. He dealt with, all I had to do was fight. He dealt with all the business and everything, and that was nice to be able to have, So I was just, and he used to be a fighter, so he was always there when I trained and taught me a lot of what I knew. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it without him. And I don't mean physically. I'm talking about what comes with the boxing business, like the contracts and the promoters and the shady people. And I didn't really want to deal with all that. So when I decided, I don't care what happens, I'm out of here. You let that fear go of what's the unknown, and you just have to take a leap. And for me, that's what I need to do. And I know that's what a lot of people need to do with a lot of things, whether they need to change their career or get out of a relationship or find new friends or whatever it is. A lot of times it's the fear of unknown, getting out of the comfort zone. But when you, like I said, are truly passionate and have a purpose and you just get fed up enough, you could just be like, you know what, forget it. I don't care what happens. I'm going to land on my feet, but I'm going to make a change, and you will. Everything usually works out. That's what happened for me. And then I met my second husband, Curtis, who is absolutely amazing.
Were there any miracles involved in you meeting him?
We actually lived within 5 miles of each other and never met. And we had a friend who, we had in common. And that friend knew that I had just got separated and called me and was like, hey, Laila, want to come to a fight with me, to a fight party at my friend Curtis Conway's house. And I was like, I didn't know who Curtis was. And I was like, he's saying this guy's name. He must be somebody because he's saying his name like I'm supposed. And I was like, no, I don't think so, because I was thinking to myself, I don't want people to see me out with this other guy and then think that we're together and I just got to, separated and it's not public yet. And then it's going to just turn to a mess. I kept saying no. And then I called my friend and she was like, oh, stop worrying. Just go have fun. So I met him. I said, I'll drive my own car. So we're not coming as a date. And I got there, and then, after a while I met Curtis, and then I realized that his friends knew that from years before I was on the cover of this magazine, and Curtis was in his locker room telling the guys, look at this girl. She's so beautiful. I cannot believe she's a boxer. Why would a girl this beautiful box? And so they knew he had this crush on me from years before. So he was bringing me over there like, look who I have here. Surprise, man. So Curtis comes outside. And of course, I didn't know all this was going on. He's looking at them like, oh my God, So then, of course, when I found out, I thought it was crazy. So that's something we still joke about. Like, because the guy that he showed that magazine to on his team was like, I cannot believe you ended up with her. Like, so it was actually pretty crazy. So yeah, but it worked out.
That's so amazing. How long did you guys live within 5 miles of each other without knowing each other?
Probably about 6 years.
That's so crazy that you're the love of your life can be right down the road from you, but it just takes God's timing to bring it together. Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
Well, I have a couple quick fire questions for you before we end. You were on The Apprentice, you were on Chopped, you were on Dancing with the Stars. Which would you do again if you had the opportunity?
Probably Chopped.
Tell us about that experience, just because that looked so amazing.
Chopped was exactly what you see on TV. I mean, people always ask me, do you really not know what's in the box? Do you really only have that amount of time? And yes, their integrity level is super high. More happens that you don't see because the cameras, are always on, but then they have to edit it down. So, you do not know what's in that box, but you do get the chance to go, before the show starts, they say, let us show you the pantry, let's show you what's in the fridge. You can ask any questions you want about how to use equipment. Like if you want to know how to use a deep fryer or the ice cream maker, you have your opportunity to ask those questions. Then once the show starts and they hit that timer, that's it. 20 minutes, you only get 20 minutes. And then there's like cameras following you.
Oh, gosh.
So it's just like every person has 2 cameras on them. And, you got to run by people and people are knocking over stuff and all kind of things are happening. So, and then it's just a long day. I mean, you get there at like 7 a.m. and you don't leave till like 8 p.m. So it's long and it's draining, but it was so much fun. And, I've competed a couple times. I've actually gone back and judged. So, but I'm like, I'm good. I think I'll just take my wins and keep it moving.
Well, who taught you how to cook?
I taught myself how to cook. That's what's crazy. My mom didn't cook. I wrote about that in my book also, Reach. My mom didn't cook when I was growing up, and I loved to eat, and I was also very independent. And I just got in the kitchen and started cooking, and I would call my grandma on the phone and say, hey, Grandma, how do you make this or how do you make that? And a lot of trial and error. And I cook the same way now. Like I'll just may not know exactly what I'm cooking. I'm like, let me just go buy a protein and some veggies, and I'll just come home and whip something up. So that's why I did so well on Chopped, because one thing I'm really good at is, just creating a dish and improvising and just seasoning food really well.
Kind of winging it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, this may be a hard question, but do you have a favorite recipe?
A favorite recipe?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe favorite thing to cook?
I would say one of my favorites would be seafood gumbo, because I just don't make it that often, maybe a couple times a year or a few times a year. And, it's something you always want to have people over for. If you're making gumbo, we're coming by, So it's a nice process to really get that roux right, which is the base of the gumbo, and then, prepping everything, and then it all just coming together in the end is just everything.
Do you have a favorite workout?
I mean, I like to run. I really do, because I can just think, and I like to run on, not on the treadmill. I'm talking about just out in the open. I don't do it as often just because of an injury to my knees, but running, and then I also like hitting my heavy bag. Just turning on some music, hitting the heavy bag. And I would say what I do most often is like a circuit training. So I'll come in, I have a home gym, so I'll come in my home gym. I might get on my cycle for 15 minutes and do what I consider a warm-up. And I get off and hit my heavy bag for 15 minutes, and I get on my treadmill, do some sprinting for 15 minutes, and I might get on the elliptical stairs for 15 minutes. So that's like a perfect workout, and then finish with some free weights. So I like to mix it up.
How many days do you work out a week?
If I could have it my way consistently, I would work out 5 days a week. But a lot of times it ends up being like 4 days a week just due to my schedule. And then lately I've just been needing more rest because I'm dealing with some thyroid issues, which, affect your adrenals, and just really needing to sit my butt down and rest, So when I have to choose, I'm like, okay, I'll just get some rest, because rest is just as important. And I always have to remind myself that.
And I'm assuming that's very hard with such a champion mentality to do that, because I'm sure it's like so opposite of how you are.
It's hard. It's hard because like I have a goal. So right now, like because of the thyroid issues, I've gained like 15 pounds that I didn't eat or do anything. It's just my body changed. And my metabolism slowed down due to like Hashimoto's. And so for me, once I know, okay, I want to get this weight off because I know where I should be at my best. It's not about a number. I just know where I'm at my best. So then you want to go work hard. You want to go run. You want to go work out for 2 hours, but you can't, So for me, once I know it's just important to get my rest for my health, then it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, so it's constant push and pull and struggle and self-talk, coaching in my head, like, Laila, you got to rest,
Yes. And I think we women want to just do it all for everybody, and we fail to put ourselves first sometimes. And so I love that you are teaching us how to do that. Do you have a favorite book?
I just read a really good book, excellent for parents, The Whole Brain Child. Because my daughter is pretty challenging, and I was like, you know what? I think I need some help with this. So this book is really been really good, and I think it's just something all parents should read.
Do you have a favorite motto that you like to live by?
Don't get bitter, get better.
I love it. Who's been your biggest mentor outside of your parents?
My friend and business partner, Amber Noble Garland. Mm-hmm. She's not much older than me, a little bit older than me, but, very smart, very kind, loving, and isn't afraid to tell me like it is, So she's just been a really good friend and business mentor. And we kind of are there for one another. It's good to have a good, strong, intelligent woman in your life, that when you just need a second opinion on something that you can trust, and she's definitely would be that person.
Okay, my last question, and I ask this to all of our guests. If there were 3 miracles that you could create in the world today, what would that look like for you?
Oh, wow. To be able to protect children in every way possible, just from hurt and abuse and hunger, so they never had to go through any of that. To create peace all over the world would definitely be another. Just everywhere, so everyone could just get along. And then just for us to not have to lose our loved ones ever, whether it be, when we pass and go to heaven, but we have some way of knowing, we will for sure see each other again. Everyone has different beliefs depending on their religion, but that's one thing I hate about life is like you are promised death, So at some point, you're going to lose your children and they're going to lose you, and that I just can't stand it.
Well, I love those 3 miracles you shared, and I just want to thank you for being a very strong, fierce, confident woman who is empowering women all over the country to kind of pursue and find their passion and don't be put in a box and figure out what it is that you want to do and do it, and don't let anything hold you back. You are the epitome of being the most amazing example for women. So I want to thank you for that. Aww. And I would love for you to share with our listeners where they can follow you and what you're doing right now.
Thank you. And thank you for providing a podcast for women like myself and others to come on and share with your audience and the world. So thank you for what you do as well. You can find me on Instagram. I'm the real Laila Ali. I'm on Twitter. Also, I don't use that much, but real Laila Ali. And then I also have a Facebook page. And then my website is LailaAliLifestyle.com. And I'm currently in production of my own nutrition products, nutrition supplements, which I'm super excited about. Yep. It's called Uplenish.
When's that going to come out?
I keep pushing the date because I want it to be right, but it should be around January or spring possibly. So we'll see, but just keep an eye out for that. But if people go to my website, LailaAliLifestyle.com, and just sign up to my list, that's the best way to get updates and things like that. And then I'm also going to be doing some spice blends. So I'm excited about that as well. I have this really great seasoning salt that just goes good on everything. So I am so excited for that one. So that'll be out before the nutrition product. So just sign up to my list and you'll get information on that.
Well, I should have asked, what aren't you doing? Because you kind of have a lot of things is going on right now?
I just decided, I said, Laila, you need to slow down. I was like trying to do too much. And I came to the realization, all while I was shooting Homemade Simple, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna move the date if I have to, and it's okay, until things are ready and they're right. Because yes, I was doing too much.
JoJo brings happiness and joy to any room he walks into, or more likely, dances into. Born with a rare form of cancer and mosaic Down syndrome, JoJo started treatment at just 4 days old. Thanks to doctors, nurses, family, and donors, JoJo is a thriving 14-year-old with a passion for life. Support kids like JoJo this holiday season by donating to Children's Miracle Network hospitals and put your money where the miracles are. Please go to cmnhospitals.org to donate today, and happy holidays.